Hello, welcome to Marvel Unwrapped, where we explore Marvel's greatest topics. I am your co-host, Cole Brunson.
And I'm your other co host, Emma Schroeder.
Thank you. And today's topic is best female characters ranking on a variety of things. And so I guess to start it off, I will start off with my top list, going from number 5 to number 1.
Sounds
So
good.
at number 5, I have Gamora. And I think, honestly, what I like about her is because she's stuck with a bunch of guys in Guardians of the Galaxy who are kind of like a bunch of idiots
True,
and who are
true.
like not very logical. And they're just trying to she's trying to do anything she can to keep them in order. And it's just funny to see how she reacts.
Mm,
And then she kind of like a secret love thing with Star-Lord going on. And it's honestly just fun to see how a serious person who was like a really good assassin is just fitting in with a bunch of doofuses, and it's just funny to
yeah,
see.
I agree. I think that's one thing that makes Gamora kind of just a relatable character is because I think in
Mhm.
the workplace or school, you often find yourself surrounded by just frustrating, distracted, incompetent people and trying to like get them in order or like working in a group project. It's just fun to see how she interacts with those characters.
Definitely. All right, and then next on my list, I have, well, at number 4, I have Peggy Carter. And the reason I put her there, I know she's not in many MCU movies, but the reason why I do like her is because she was like in Captain America the First Avenger. Honestly, I think she might have, well, not really a superhero, but she was one of the like first women that it showed in power who were actually like, she wasn't actually put in the battlefield though,
Mm,
so I guess that is a discussion. But she was like she was like high in the general in the army. Oh, I'm just not sure general, but a high ranking in the
yes.
army. She was like with the general all the way, and she was like there when they were doing like the injection on Captain America, which was like a super top secret thing, and she definitely plays like a big role in the MCU as a woman.
Yeah. Um, Peggy Carter is actually one of my favorites too. I think one thing that stood out to me the most about her is just considering the time she was like you said, a high-ranking figure in the army. In
Mm-hmm.
a time where women didn't really have a lot of leadership roles. It was just so really cool to see as, a little girl watching this, um, just how she takes charge of like the soldiers. It's just really funny and kind of nice to see that.
Yeah, and it was like funny when she had the soldiers standing in line, and then one of them was like hitting on her
Mm-hmm.
and like trying to like ask her out, not in like a full asking out way, but he was trying to like impress her and stuff. And then she gets him in a stance where she can easily punch him over, and she succeeds, punches him over, and he's struggling on the ground, gets up. And it was funny. And honestly, that's not the only part. Was because even in the TV show,
Mm-hmm.
um Carter, well, Agent Carter is what it's called, but it's like the TV show is on Hulu. I have not completely watched all of the episodes, but I've watched quite a bit, and I honestly enjoy it quite a bit. So if you have the chance to see it, I would recommend that you do see it.
Definitely.
But in it, she's working in like a police agency. It actually is Shield, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and she's working with them. She's the only female character there, and like a bunch of the men are abusing her and like verbally. I don't remember any of it being physically, but verbally definitely. And she still stood up, and she's taking like a big case, and she, no matter what they say, she's always there, and she's like proving that women can actually do stuff in power, which because back then the 1940s, women wouldn't weren't really viewed as people who had a lot of
Yeah.
power, and it's just great to see how she can overcome like such big obstacles, especially back then. And she was like a good shooter too. She was good with a gun,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like one of the only people that Tony Stark well, actually not his dad, Howard Stark
Mm-hmm.
trusted. And honestly, everyone, I forgot what, but he was framed for something and everyone wanted him dead. And Jarvis, which was his like Howard Stark's like sidekick kind of, but like not really. It's kind of like his butler, I guess. And then him and Peggy Carter were the only people who trusted, and Peggy Carter succeeded in keeping that a secret. And basically that's why I like her.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It is kind of cool to see someone just stick to their gut despite like whatever obstacles they're facing. It's just the thing that makes Peggy Carter great is like she's a regular person and she's just someone who
Mhm.
sticks to her gut despite, the hate, despite the evil around her, and that's what makes her a hero and that's what makes her cool. I think you're exactly right on
Mhm.
that. So, what's your number
Yeah.
3?
All right, number three. All right. Coming in hot. Sorry, that was objective. I'm sorry.
You're
But
good.
number three. I have Shuri,
Mm,
Black Panther's sister, and I like her because just like any like most of the reason why I like Peggy Carter like kind of like how you said. Sorry for that stutter there, but kind of like what you said, she's just a normal girl. She has no superpowers or anything. She just has the bravery and courage to show that woman in power can actually do stuff.
mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like what I like about Shuri. She doesn't have any power. She just uses like she's really smart, and she actually the how smart she is. I think that kind of would be a superpower because she's created like all the Black Panther suits, and
Mm-hmm.
those are incredibly enhanced and super cool. And like the way she processes all the vibranium and all of that, it's super smart how she does it. And she literally figured out a way to take the Mind Stone out of Vision's head and
Yeah,
still keep him
I
alive.
forgot about that.
She did, she did not like succeed in doing it, but she had a way to do it, and that is honestly super cool because like the only way they could create Vision in Avengers: Age of Ultron was to have the stone
Mm-hmm.
in his head.
Yeah.
But Shuri's so smart and she did it out of that. And then also she's funny, which is like the MCU. The the reason why I like it is because one, it's Marvel and I love comics and how like if you there's a documentary from Pulp to
Mm-hmm.
Pop on Disney Plus. It's a documentary on Stan Lee and all him with like kind of like the backstory of Marvel, and it's great to see how they created it so different from everything
Yeah.
else, and that's what I like about Marvel. And they were like one of the first like fully action like superhero movies to bring in comedy, and honestly they haven't failed on a comedy movie yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so funny, and especially Shuri, super smart, but she just adds like a comedic approach to everything.
Yeah.
Even if Black Panther is like annoyed by it, it's still really funny to see her
Yeah.
go.
She acts just like a teenager, your
Yeah.
typical teenager. She acts like your typical younger sibling who eggs their older sibling on, kind of teasing them.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what makes Shuri such a lovable character is that she's just a 16-year-old girl who happens to be like the smartest person in the world. And,
Yeah.
maybe all of us can't relate to being super smart. I know I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely could not invent the way she does. But I think what makes her so remarkable is how she's just constantly being ambitious with her inventions. Like I remember in the movie, she came out with like a new prototype of the I forgot what they're called, but the something beads, and
Kimono, I
yeah,
think.
kimono beads,
Um,
and T'Challa, he was like, already, like, these ones work fine. And she's like, just because something works does not mean it can be improved, or something along those lines. And just her ambitious spirit really makes her stand out from your regular teenager. But
yeah.
I do like how she's funny. That definitely makes things better and more enjoyable.
But yeah, it's the Komoyo beads.
Oh,
That's what it was.
kimoyo. I said kimono. Oops.
Yeah, I'm
My
sorry.
bad. No,
I'm
that's my
sorry.
fault.
Komoyo beads, which are
Yes,
super cool
yes.
powers and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, and also like I'm not just picking her because of her weapons, but a big add-on was like those hand like rockets, kind of like those hand fist things. How they're like the Black Panther mouth.
Yes.
Those those are super cool, and they're like different from any other weapon that is in the
Mm-hmm.
MCU. So it was like really cool to see it. Actually, it
Yeah.
was like an Iron Man thing, but she built it on instead of just having to create a whole suit for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And she also she fixed Bucky's brain.
yeah,
That was
they
really cool to see.
out how to make him better, and I was so proud because he's my favorite character.
He's one of
And
mine too.
Yes, and then they fixed him up so well, and even named him the White Wolf.
That was
Wait,
kind of funny.
yeah, and because they have a Black Panther and then a White Wolf, and
Mhm.
I'm not sure if it was her, but it seems like it probably was. They created Bucky Barnes a whole new metallic arm, which was probably
That's
um
right.
they like showed up with it, but I think Shuri probably created it because like on the second end scene or post credit scene of Black Panther,
Mhm.
it shows her waking Bucky up, and so then I think she was kind of taking care of him along the way.
Yes, I
She
remember.
created his Black Panther. I mean, whoa, what am I saying? She created his vibranium arm. And honestly, I do
Mhm.
like the original, but that one is really cool. How it has like the
Yeah.
gray and gold. It was
And it's just like a new start for Bucky.
definitely
I remember he had the man bun. I thought that was
yeah.
funny.
hmm
But
All
yeah.
right, so number two, I have Scarlet Witch, and
Mm.
the reason why I put her high was because one, she's super powerful, and two, it's just cool to see her like big evolvement all the way from Avengers Age of Ultron until Avengers Infinity War, because and the
Mhm.
movies she was in before were Age of Ultron and Civil War. She had all these like cool powers, but she couldn't quite possess them. And like even in Civil War, she was like saying how she can't even use them, and all this like bad stuff they're talking about her on the news. She was saying it was all true, that she's like can't be controlled and stuff, and she's like struggling to see that she can't control them. But
Mhm.
then she finally like in Infinity War, she looked it like when Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive, they were the children of Thanos, were attacking her and Vision. It was like cool to
Mhm.
see how she had possessed her powers. And honestly, if her and Vision were on a team against the rest of the Avengers, I honestly do not think they could be beat, because the only way like Wanda could stop Vision was by like controlling the Mind Stone and inflicting it on.
Yeah.
Because in Civil War, when Hawkeye was trying to break her out, what like Hawkeye and like the other people couldn't do anything to him, except Wanda could, and she's like the only way who can like use power on him to like control him, kind of, but the only
Mhm.
one that can stop him. And it's just their chemistry is cool, like together, because they're like super unbeatable, but they don't really have the social powers as everyone does, because Scarlet Witch, she's she doesn't have any parents. She grew up with her brother. She is like super
Mhm.
strong powers, and she almost cannot possess. And then Vision, he was literally created out of a box and just had like a stone put in his head. But then
Mhm.
with Scarlet Witch, it's just great to see how she has evolved, and how the Avengers like how if the Avengers didn't take her in and just like decided to like put her away, she would like still be like the unbreakable teenager and wouldn't be able to control herself. But
Yeah.
the Avengers have like taken her in, and like I think it doesn't show it exactly, but they probably did train her on how to possess her powers better, and basically just how like she can become a better human by harnessing her powers and only using them for good, instead of just
Mhm.
like pulling an explosion right into a hospital as she did in Civil War. And this is great to see how she's changed.
Yeah. I think um those are really good points. And something that just came to my mind is how you're talking, like how her development throughout the movies and kind of seeing her go from this kind of scared
Mm-hmm.
person who's very scared of
Def-
herself. We see that a lot in the movies. And it's just nice to see her confidence grow. And I think if there's something that can describe Scarlet Witch, it's just confidence, because you went from a character who, was not sure of herself, didn't trust herself, and was kind of almost scared of herself, to becoming someone to make Thanos go to his knees. Like, that's just really cool to see. And I think when we all saw that in the theater, we were like,
yeah.
yes, you go, like, get him. And that's just really cool to see. And I like how it's just your typical like like this is who I am, like this is me, like this is what I can do, and you will see it. And it's just nice to see that. And yeah, that's definitely what makes Scarlet Witch a really cool and memorable character.
Definitely. And like you said with Thanos, he was literally about to be like, it didn't exactly show what was happening, but he was either going to be crushed or pulled apart by powers.
Yes,
And that was like a big suspense.
she was
And then
mad.
he took everything from me and he goes, I don't even know who you are. A bunch of memes have come out of that, but no matter what happened, that
Yeah.
was an amazing scene. And he literally had to call his whole ship, the Sanctuary. He had to call all of the shots off and just target her, just to get her off his back.
Yeah, he killed his own army just to get her to stop.
Mm-hmm. So,
And I remember this one scene from Age of Ultron when at the end, all she did was just pull his heart
mm,
out. Boom. She ended it like that. And it was just cool to see. At first, she was not my favorite character because she was like a little
yeah,
angsty, and that's not really my style. But then, like, just seeing all that she can do and kind of seeing how she's like quiet with
yeah,
it, but then seeing her to go from quiet to just this is what I can do, and
yeah.
like yeah,
Because
it's
at the
just cool.
beginning, like in Age of Ultron, it seemed like she didn't really care what was in her way. She just wanted to get by it because she has enough powers to do it. But in Civil War, you really
Mhm.
see that she's just a shy child, and she just, as you said before, she's just scared of who she is because she doesn't know what she's capable of at all, and it's just scary to see what she has
Yeah.
turned into. The Avengers took her
Yeah.
in and made them her own.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what her TV show
I
will be.
know.
That'll be
Yeah,
interesting.
and it was like showing it in like different like times. Like it showed it in an older time.
Mhm.
I want to see what they do with that because in the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, it says that she's going to play a big part in that.
I'm really excited to see that. That'll be
And they
cool.
said they're going to make it into more of a horror movie. I know not many people are like
Mm.
into horror movies, but I definitely am. Um,
Yeah.
so
I'm not into scary movies, but it'll be
yeah,
interesting to see that movie.
so
So,
yeah, it'd be fun to see how they put on the horror aspect of it. But then I think somehow this is only a theory. I have no evidence to back this up with besides my own thinking. But I have a feeling that since it's literally talking about the multiverse, I feel like they will like find a way to warp time or something to bring her into the past and like be with Vision, kind of like how Captain America did with Peggy, or
yeah.
something like that, or along those boundaries. I was showing it in like
Mhm.
older times, like I don't want to say 40s, but it's like 40s, 50s, sometime.
Yeah, it seemed like it was like it went from 50s,
Yeah.
60s, 70s, and 80s, just judging by the hairstyles.
It was like,
Yeah.
honestly, it'd be fun to see more take on those older times because that's when like it was like more peaceful kind of, um, and like not, I don't know, like,
In terms of like saving the
yeah.
universe and
And
everything.
it just be fun to see how they pull it into that. And so then, yeah, I'm definitely excited to see her TV show.
Mhm.
All right.
So,
So then I have my honorable mentions. Um, so I guess one of them is May Parker. The only reason I chose her was because without her, Spider Man, I think he probably would have been way out of control. And like in Homecoming, you disciplining him, and
mhm.
I think with the powers he got, he probably wouldn't be such like a civilized or like more patient kind of teenager with superpowers as you would be. And I think she definitely raised him right.
Yeah.
Even yeah,
Yeah, that's
it
a good
didn't
point.
exactly show it in the past, which I don't think they needed to. But Spider-Man saw his like uncle get shot in front of him, and that's heartbreaking.
Mhm.
But Aunt May, no matter what, she's just taught him through the hard times, and she's definitely on my honorable mentions list because she made him into like the great teenager he is now.
Mhm.
And then number three, I have Nebula. I didn't want to put her higher up because at the beginning, I like kind of like really hated her because she was a like
Yeah.
in the first movie, she was kind of like a jerk, only wanted to please Ronan, wanted to kill people. like for literally no reason, just to prove she was strong, and I did not like her at all. But the
Mhm.
reason why she's on, she does all these like things, and she's done, and she's transformed into like a greater person. Like she's literally like from she saw like her whole group, like her sister, like vanish in front of her, but then she was like super civilized and was literally telling them where her father would have been after retirement, and she was literally like telling where he was just so they could kill him when he was the main person she was
Mhm.
trying to impress.
Yeah, for sure. I really liked
Mhm.
Nebula.
All right, and then for number two, I have Jane Foster. I think they definitely could have brought her in more since she was basically only in the cast of Thor and Thor the Dark World. She wasn't in Endgame. I'm not sure if it actually showed her face, but she was like mentioned in it because they're trying to get the ether out of her.
Mhm.
And then, but basically, she's definitely, I think she probably will have a future because in the comics she does become the new Thor, and I think after all Chris Hemsworth his contract is expiring, like Thor Love and Thunder, I think that
Mhm.
might be his last one. Do not like put like all your bets on that, but if I'm
Yeah.
remembering it right, I think that is his last one, and he might be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Mhm.
But besides that, I think Jane Foster will take over because the only other person we know who is worthy is Vision, but I don't think they're gonna be bringing Mjolnir
Yeah.
into Vision just cause. But then Jane Foster in the comics, she did become the new Thor, so I think she will have a future in the MCU with it.
Yeah. I think Jane is just because she's a scientist and she uses her brain, and um
Yeah,
I think just her being a scientist is what separates her from a lot of other female characters, at least in the MCU. And I
definitely.
and yeah, um, and one thing with her becoming Thor, I know there's a lot of like kind of dissent for that, and personally, I felt
Hmm.
that too at first, because like, oh no, don't get rid of Thor. Um,
Yeah.
but then in the comics too, Thor is like the name. It's more just a mantle. Like yes, that's who Thor is. But the Thor itself, it's more just a mantle that's passed on from person. And then some people were kind of salty about that, like go to a girl. But
Yeah.
I think we'll all be pleasantly surprised um with what this movie will bring.
Because honestly, MCU has not really disappointed me yet or anyone I know of,
Hmm.
and they've done like big transitions. Like they had like half the universe die, and they fixed all of that in 3 hours into literally an amazing movie
Hmm.
that hit like number one in the box office in like 2 weeks, I think, and they just like exploded it and made it like a great movie. And honestly, the MCU after Thor, I mean, like, yes, we're saying Chris Hemsworth go, but he can't really last. So basically, just to wrap it up, I'd really like to see Jane Foster be as the new Thor, but Chris Hemsworth can't last. So, the next one of my honorable mentions is Hela, the goddess of death, that was featured in Thor Ragnarok.
Hmm.
She, honestly, she was like the most powerful female character, I think. She's the goddess of death, and just the way she portrays her character in Thor Ragnarok is just so cool. How she has like all those swords and like all those cool weapons that she can do, especially that
Hmm.
wolf, like saying quite a bit. But she is really cool with all her stuff, and she's a great female character.
Yeah, I feel like if she wasn't killed off, and if the ancient one wasn't killed off from Doctor Strange, I think those two could have single-handedly beat Thanos. He wouldn't have lasted a minute if Hela and the ancient one were good and they were still alive. Wow. Well,
Mhm.
the ancient one was pretty good, actually. I take that back. But if Hela was good, dang, what a team.
If they teamed up and just went against Thanos, I mean, like, sure, the Infinity Gauntlet could have bought him some time, but overall, they would have easily beaten Thanos.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I honestly I didn't like Hella, just like, like I loved her as a villain, but
Yeah.
I was so sad when she killed the oh my gosh, I don't want to say like Fabulous Four because that's not right, but
Yeah.
the Thor's friends from the first movie, the first Thor, and that was
Oh,
really sad to see.
yeah.
But she was an awesome villain.
Mhm.
And I love Kate Blanchett, so she's a great actress.
But honestly, like Kevin Feige, the like director of the MCU, I think he did have Hela kill off most of Thor's friends because literally right after that in Asgard, Asgard gets literally destroyed and killed by Thanos, and I think they wouldn't have just wanted them to just suddenly die just because they were attacked by Thanos. So I think that's why they had them die in Ragnarok, so you could actually like see their death because they weren't just like random street people; they're like actually Thor's friends and all that. So I think it's good and bad of how they had Hela kill them off.
Mhm. Agreed.
But yeah, all right, and then the last one is the Ancient One. Super powerful, and she has like a comedic way, but not like trying to be funny. Kind of like she's really sarcastic, and in that way, it's really funny because like Stephen Strange before he becomes Doctor Strange. Well, actually, he was already Doctor Strange, but like before he becomes like the Sorcerer Supreme, he was like thinking he knew everything about
Mhm.
everything. And the Ancient One proved him so wrong, and it was just so funny to see how he failed and like trying to prove everything. And the Ancient One, she's just already super powerful, and it's just really cool to see how she did that. And like already,
Yeah. Yeah, I liked how she was like a stoic character, but also able to kind of have a sense of humor. And
mm-hmm,
it's like she was just a really unique and cool and powerful character.
definitely.
And I don't know the actress's name, but I remember her from she was the witch from Lion, Witch in the Wardrobe in Narnia, and it was just really cool to see her as such a different role.
Yeah,
And
because they're like completely different.
yeah, and I was honestly very sad when she died. But it was a peaceful death, which is kind of cool to see, but not a lot of MCU characters get that. So that was cool.
She had like her first like human death, and then she had her spiritual death, and it was like
Mhm.
she knew this was coming, and that it had to be passed on to Stephen Strange, and it was cool to see
Yeah.
that. All right, and then now my honorable mentions, sadly, are over, but now I'm going to number one, my top pick. I'm going with Black Widow because she, well, she, I guess, she was kind of the first like female character MCU.
Mhm. On
Like,
screen.
yeah, because she wasn't exactly identified as the like Black Widow, but she was in Iron Man 2, and that actually came before Captain America: The First Avenger, so that was before Peggy Carter.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess she kind of was like the first female hero, and like in the beginning, and like Iron Man 2, she was super serious, but then it was funny because like in like Avengers and in Iron Man, she was like super serious and stuff. But then it was funny to see her change into like more of a comedic person in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And I loved the interaction of Black Widow and Captain America, and it was just fun to see them
Yeah.
argue and dispute together. And they honestly worked well together as like spies and stuff, and that's kind of why I like the Winter Soldier movie. But
Mhm.
Black Widow, she changes so much in different ways because like especially in Civil War, this is like a big thing for her. She was on Iron Man's side because she didn't want to become a rebel because that's kind of how she was in
Mhm.
Russia where she originated. She was doing bad things, but then she wanted to go against it because she didn't believe it was right anymore. So she
Yeah.
had to rebel, and so then that's why she signed with Iron Man. But then later on in Captain America Civil War, she realized that it's not the best, that she is siding with that, like with their beliefs and all that. And then she changes with Captain America and literally exchanges her freedom just to let Captain America get away. And then she like goes off with him. As you can see in Infinity War, she like escapes with him, and they're kind of living as vigilantes on their own.
Yeah.
And she has like a big change from Iron Man 2 all the way up until Avengers Endgame, where she like literally had no family and she died saving her family and literally everyone else out there. And it was
Yeah.
a big transition.
Yeah. One thing I like about Black Widow is like she doesn't have any powers. She's just a normal person. She's just a
Uh,
really cool fighter, and that's kind of fun to see. And but probably one of my favorite things about Black Widow is just I don't know how to put it, but you see the transition from like the first couple movies and even how she was in the comics or how the directors and artists just depicted her was she went from like a character just in like, you know, your typical female character in like tight suits
yeah,
and how her zipper was all zipped down to her chest in Winter Soldier, which is one of my favorite movies, but
yeah,
and even in the posters, you know, her hips are jutted out and all these things. And she's just supposed to be this like, she's just over sexualized.
mhm,
And so one thing I like to see in her character is how they took her from just like a person to fill that space in a movie to actually becoming a more serious character and a more of a serious hero. And you know, even in Endgame, her suit's zipped all the way up, and just
yeah,
subtle things like that just give her more of that authority, and that's really cool to see. And you know, I like Black Widow because she's such a cool character. She's such a, you know, she's a
mhm,
powerful girl on a team full of guys, and it's really cool to see as a little girl. And I like seeing little Black Widow costumes in stores, and it's just really cute. I and like you said, how she went from kind of like a lone assassin, a rogue wolf, like to someone who sacrifices herself for her family, and she's like the only one holding people together, and it's just really cool to see that because you know, as an assassin, you wouldn't think she cares a lot, but she does care deeply for her people.
And like definitely another thing I like about Marvel, and especially what they did with Black Widow, was instead of just having all the female characters be like serious and just trying to get stuff done, they in like future movies they made her no different from the males. They made her like laughing with them, having fun with them, and like,
Hmm.
making jokes with them instead of just making her just straight serious and all that. But it seemed like more like she wasn't, they didn't just bring in a female character just to not show sexism. It showed that like the female character was actually like blending in with them, and was like actually like it wouldn't matter. Well, I don't know exactly how to say it, but it didn't, I guess kind of, they showed that like they didn't just bring her in to be sexist as I said before, but just have like a good character that was actually in it, and that was like a good character. And she literally still is a great character today. It's just, I don't know exactly
Yeah,
how to say it, but
she's just like part of the story.
yeah. And
Yeah, I
I
know what you mean.
honestly can't wait to see her single movie. Although it's
Yeah,
delayed, and that's, I don't know, it sucks.
it does suck, but at least she has her own movie, so we have that to look
Mm,
forward to.
definitely.
Now, should I talk about my top five now?
Definitely. It's your list.
Cool. Okay, so number five, I put Valkyrie, and I mean, I guess she's not the best role model. You know, she's drinks and she's a little bit crude and she's
Yeah.
kind of reckless and probably not the best superhero role model for little girls out there.
Mhm.
But the reason I liked Valkyrie was just because she was different from all the other female characters in the MCU. And I liked her because she was just herself. You know, she wasn't trying to be perfect. She wasn't trying to be like fit the perfect cookie cutter version of a female character. And once we learned that she actually was a Valkyrie in the movie Thor Ragnarok, you kind of like sympathized with her and you kind of felt bad with her and she was humanized a little bit more. And I think that was really cool to see and it made her more relatable. And
Mm,
I just enjoyed her as a character. Not super special reasons, I guess, but I just thought like she was really well written and well integrated into the story. And I even liked how she was then dubbed King of Asgard, not Queen. I thought that was
yeah.
kind of cool because kind of like we talked about this with Jane Foster, but like the name Thor or the King, it's a title, it's just a mantle. And I thought it was cool how she kind of earned that title of King of Asgard. And that was pretty cool to see because, she went from this scrapper on Sakaar that doesn't care about anything to
Mm,
now she's leading people of Asgard or what's left of them. That was pretty cool to see.
yeah. And like definitely because like even before like the 5 year transition, well I think during the 5 year transition in Endgame, she was like already she was already like kind of leading the Asgardians, well, as
Mhm.
it says on the sign, the new Asgardians, because Thor was just kind of stuck inside his room drinking, and, like watching Corey play Fortnite and yell at some teenagers who are playing Fortnite in their basements and stuff like that. But it seemed like she actually already stepped up the lead, and she already like took charge, like even though she literally said Thor only comes out like once every few weeks or something like that to resupply,
Mhm.
and she nodded toward like a bunch of beer cans, and then
Yeah.
and it seemed like they kind of switched places, and that Valkyrie figured out what was wrong and she had to take charge, and that's what I like about her, because she does have a big transition, and like because like most of the transition
Yeah.
just like in like a few movies, her she just snapped, she just went right into it. It's
Mhm.
cool how see how much she's changed, and like she took charge right away.
You're exactly right. Um, Probably my number 4 would be Peggy Carter. I know we talked about her already,
Yeah.
so I won't go too much into it. But
Mhm.
just to summarize, I liked how she was true to herself in a world where, women really wasn't like, where women weren't really expected to succeed and take on leadership roles and take authority and take charge. But she did that. Like, she did that. And so that's why I like Peggy Carter. Uh, because she was one of probably the first female Avenger out there or superhero out there. And she's just a regular girl doing her job. And that was cool to see.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like a girl doing her job. She was actually doing like great at her job,
Yeah,
because
she was doing a men's job. Sorry,
yeah,
correction.
big job, job, and she was like higher ranked than almost, well, not almost, but a lot of men in the military. And she
hmm
was like with them side by side, like the top secret mission with Captain America. She was there right as it happened, and she was like big. She was like not just a female character, but like a really like strong female character, and not just like a strong female character in like power and all that, but in like courage and bravery, because that's basically what it took to like
Yeah.
actually be a woman back then. Back then,
hmm
there's just won't get into too much detail, but it just right. It
Yeah.
wasn't really equal back then.
hmm and then my number 3 would be Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. And I feel like a lot of people didn't like Captain Marvel because she was seen as too powerful. And on some level, I get that. Like her destroying that ship in Endgame, I thought that was like a little much. But but all in all, like I really like this character and I really like the movie. Um I liked her because she was your typical hero. She was your stereotypical hero who was, serious and who stood up for what's right, who stuck to her gut and just, got the job done. But and I liked Carol because when I was watching the movie, one of my favorite parts was when there's all those people telling her she couldn't do it, you can't do it, or when they're like, stay down. And
Yeah.
it made me think of the quote, like a righteous man falls down 7 times but stands up 8. And it was just so cool to see like her on the ground and like hearing those voices and then her standing up. And it was just such like inspiring moment. And that's why I really like the Captain Marvel movie and this character because it's very inspiring. And I feel like she's just that hero, that like female hero that you never really got to see as like a little kid or even now. And that's why I really like her. And her suit was just a normal suit, and I liked how she was running barefoot in the beginning, and it was just she had a lot of quirky mannerisms that made her
Yeah.
likable. And one of my favorite parts of the movie is when there was the motorcyclist and he's like, "Oh, give me a smile," and she just like looks at him and like ignores him, and then he says something else, and then she ends up, beating him up and taking his clothes, and that was pretty great to see. And I think some people don't really see how that kind of thing often how that occurs so much in like in a girl's life or in a woman's life.
Mhm.
And so just kind of seeing it on screen and seeing her beat him up and take his clothes and take his motorcycle, it was just really funny to see. And like I remember I was smiling so much. And I don't know, you probably heard about this, Cole, but there was that whole thing on Twitter where people were like, why is her poster so serious? She should be smiling.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then Brie Larson, the actress, responded like, like none of the like Captain America, Iron Man, they're not smiling on their posters.
Mhm.
So she photoshopped a smile on like Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man's posters, and she's like, see why it looks weird? So that's why I'm not smiling on mine. And it was just
Yeah.
funny. And um like at the end of the day, you have to like this character because like she's just really inspiring, and she sticks to her gut, and I think that's something anyone can do.
Mhm.
And I just like the underlying tone of fall down 7 times and stand up eight.
Yeah.
And it's just cool. And it was a really different take on characters, and I liked it.
Yeah. And she was the first MCU hero to MCU female hero to have her own movie. And
Mhm.
the movie was really good. Like the character, she was funny. And it's a bit kind of like the ancient one. It's more of in like a sarcastic way, kind of more
Yeah, a little
instead of like the
stoic.
characters in the movie laugh. Um, but and then also her suit was super cool. How she could like customize all the colors in it. And
Mhm.
then I was really happy how they brought in Goose, I think her name was, but the cat.
The
That's
cat,
so funny.
yeah. I forgot about that for a second.
And then it was like so funny when cuz they didn't know it was like the what was it? It was like the
Oh gosh, I don't remember what they're called, but like the alien.
yeah, and then what's it called? During Captain Marvel, she's like when the bad people were scanning like the actor they were scanning Nick Fury and Goose. They scanned Nick Fury and it said he wasn't threatenable at all, and they scanned Goose and it said a highly threatenable. He goes, okay, now that thing's broken. uh,
That was funny. I remember that.
yeah, and it's just funny and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But definitely I do think that they did make her overpowered because compared to the comics, she does have those powers like fly through Thanos' ship or stuff like that, or like have the have the power to like blast through a bunch of alien atomic bombs and stuff like that. I mean, it was a super cool scene, when she was like blasting through the bombs and stuff.
Mhm.
But I do think they did make her overpowered. But
Yeah.
honestly, besides her being overpowered, it was a pretty good movie. Um, and I just liked how they had like the whole big plot twist. And honestly, the plot twist, like understanding it, the plot was kind of hard to understand if you weren't already familiar with the background of the like story. Because it had like a
Mhm.
lot of stuff that was explained in the comics, but not so much in the movies. It was like it was described, but it was like vaguely described. Um, and then yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a good
Uh,
movie.
yeah, I guess the one problem with her being overpowered is it's not someone you can use a lot
Yeah,
in movies because, if she's there, she'll just fix the problem. But I think at the end of the day, I think we'll get to see her progress more as a character, because if there's anything true in the MCU, no one ends up where they started. So it'll be cool to see where they take her.
Yeah.
Um, and then for my second favorite female character would definitely be hands down Okoye from Black Panther. She, every time I watch Black Panther, I am just in awe of her and the warrior women. I don't know why, but I think they're so cool. I love them. You know, if Okoye stabbed me, I'd probably say sorry for getting her knife dirty. I think she's so cool. And um but the reason I think she's so cool is just because how tough she is and how she's kind of intimidating, but it's really cool
Yeah.
to see that, you know? Um, and she is funny in like kind of an ancient one way where she's very serious, very stoic, but she kind of says sly things. And I really like that. And another reason I like Okoye is just, I don't want to say her sense of duty, but just how true she is to
Yeah.
what she believes. So I don't know if you remember, but in the Black Panther, when um
Killmonger.
the yeah, when the Dora Milaje, the warrior women, when they were fighting the other Wakandans, the shepherds, I don't know their name, but they were the shepherds with the rhinos and the scythe. Her, I don't know if it was her husband or her boyfriend, but and he was like, "Would you kill me, my love?" And she said, "For Wakanda, without hesitation or like without question." And I was just like, "Dang,
Yeah.
whoa!" Like, so it just means that like if she thinks something is right and if she thinks something's wrong, she sticks to it. Like she stands up. Like even though like if she had to kill her boyfriend or husband, like she would, and because he was doing something wrong, she would say like she would do what's right. And like I love her. She's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I think she's super cool and really strong, and she's a regular person too. And like I think not even as a little girl, as a teenager, I love watching her on screen and thinking how awesome it
Yeah.
is. And I just think it's really cool, and it also is like a little bit historical too. That's one reason I like Black Panther is how much like little historical and cultural things they wove into it. But I don't know if you know this, but I remember learning this in class. Uh, on the eastern coast of Africa, I can't remember which nation or country, but it was like they had like their soldiers, their warriors were women. And I was like, what? Like that's so cool. I think it was I want to say I don't know. I'm not even gonna guess
Yeah.
because I'll probably be wrong. But definitely East Coast, like northern East Coast. But all their warriors were women. It was like a matriarch, and it was just really cool to see and learn because it was so different for its time. So I was like, I wonder if that's what they were doing with the Dora
Mm-hmm.
Milaje. So yeah, I like Okoye. Um, and I like that one scene in Infinity War where Bruce Banner was in Iron Man's big machine, and he tripped. And she just kind of looked at him like, what the heck? Like, you gotta be joking. And it was
Yeah.
just really funny. So, those are the five things she says
Mm-hmm.
that I like. And yeah, um, so for some honorable mentions that I like, I have a lot here, but I probably won't say them all. Um, one of them is definitely Jessica
Mm-hmm.
Jones. She's from the one of the Marvel TV shows. Probably not the best TV show to watch. I probably won't go back and watch it
Yeah.
again, but it's a dark TV show, definitely inappropriate, not great. It's intense and dark, and it's just because the villain is really evil, and so it's hard to watch. But Jessica Jones, for those who don't know, she's a PI, a private investigator, and she's more of an anti-hero and not the best role model. Uh, but I think she was in this car crash and like toxic waste spilled over in your typical superhero
Yeah.
transformation, and she was given the superpower of like super
Mm-hmm.
strength. And it's just cool to see because she's kind of a gangly woman, like she doesn't look strong. She always has bags under her eyes. She never gets any sleep and she drinks too much, but she has super strength and she's kind of your reluctant hero who doesn't want to do good, but she ends up doing it anyways. And you kind of see where that takes her, and it's just really cool to see how she becomes someone who literally doesn't care about anything. She says so multiple
Yeah.
times, but to someone who just sticks up for the smaller people, people who can't defend themselves, and it's just cool to see throughout the whole series people
Mm-hmm.
underestimate her, and then she just proves them wrong, and that's really cool to see.
Definitely.
But yeah, not a great TV show. I wouldn't recommend it, but she is a good
Yeah.
character. And next on my honorable mentions would be Wasp
Mm.
from Ant-Man
Hope
and the
Pym.
Wasp. Uh, Hope Pym. I really like her just because I don't know. Maybe it's I like her and Paul Rudd's
Yeah.
interaction. Scott Lang. But I like Wasp just because I think she's a cool superhero,
Yeah.
you know? She kind of shrinks and then gets big and shrinks and gets big and I don't it's just fun. And the way they did that movie was really well done. How with the different fight scenes and she's just really cool. Um, I kind of like how she always kind of
Yeah.
fights for her family and stands by her dad and fights to get her mom back and it's just really
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of touching and I kind of like how she doesn't take
Yeah.
Scott Lang's crap. It's kind of
Yeah.
like a Gamora situation where she's surrounded by some people time that
Yeah,
have times
because
are a little
like
bit idiots.
with her, she's like a serious character, but she does make funny quips in sometimes if like necessary. But
Mhm.
it's like because Paul Rudd, his character Scott Lang, he's like so dumb. And like probably my favorite line from him, and I quote time when they're like talking about all like the science between the quantum tunnel, and he just goes, "Do you guys just add quantum in front of
Mhm.
everything to make it sound professional?" And then Hope Pym just gives him this look of like pure disgust, and it's like one of the best
I
one-liners
remember.
from the MCU. It's because it's super serious, and like you said, she does everything for her
Yeah.
family. But the only person who can help her do that is this complete idiot who is like kind of likes her in a way, but like Hope Pym, she doesn't want to exactly like him, but she's kind of just like drawn to kind of it just see how it turns out with all of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just it like it's I love Ant-Man and the
Mm-hmm.
Wasp, I think are some of my favorite movies. It's just it's so fun. And that actually brings me to my other honorable
Yeah.
mention is Ghost, the kind of anti-hero from Ant-Man and the Wasp. This character, one, she kind of reminds me of a hunter from
Yeah.
Destiny, which I thought was cool with like her outfit. But I really thought she was interesting, not just because her powers, but of how much
Yeah.
you felt bad for her. I mean, you can't because you feel bad for her, you can't condone her actions like she did. Did she kidnap
She,
someone? I think she kidnapped a kid. Yeah, she kidnapped Scott's daughter and like that's not okay. You know, don't go there. But I really liked this character just because you could feel how
mm-hmm.
much pain she was in and I really just felt bad for her and I really like it was really cool to see the mom heal her and I loved that because, you know, Scott, Hope and Dr. Pym, they're all like, "Oh no, like, you know, she's bad, like whatever, leave her be." But then the mom was like, "Wait, like, no,
Yeah.
she's in pain, like let me heal her." And I don't know, this sounds weird, but that kind of like it reminded me of like Jesus a little bit, how he would heal people and just take away their pain and their suffering. And it was just really cool to see. And and I think the reason that Ghost was a good character is because we all could resonate with her a little bit. Like, I think we've all been in those times in our life where where we feel like we're surrounded by our own suffering and we make bad decisions. And I don't know, she's just someone you
Yeah.
want to see heal and you almost want to give her a hug. And
Mm-hmm.
I think
And
that's the
then
reason why
also
I
like
like
the
her.
way she got her powers, and it's like ruined her whole life. it wasn't even her fault. She was trying to save her dad, who was like gonna have to there and die. But then she
Yeah.
got in there and like she got like I don't know. She like didn't exactly say it, but she said it was like it's like she was kind of it was kind of like implied that it was like her punishment or something. But she was just trying to save her dad. But then it's just and it like ruined her whole
Yeah.
life. She's all she did was try to save her father and keep him out of trouble. But then she got inflicted with the
Mhm.
powers, and
And then yeah, how Shield used her then as like a secret weapon and she had to kill for them and or else they would like wouldn't let her in her quantum chamber or whatever that helped her not feel pain. But it was just yeah, she's a really interesting character and honestly I hope we see her again because I think she's really cool and like
yeah,
I think her powers are really cool and it'd be really fun to see that in more
definitely.
movies. And that's pretty much all of my honorables mentioned. Um, Now for my number one, probably favorite female character, and this might sound a little questionable, but my first time favorite female character would be
Hmm.
Nebula. And I mean, okay,
Yeah,
granted, like you said about Nebula at
I
first,
know, but I
like
like
you
her
hate
now
her.
because she's like proved
I mean,
herself
she
like that
seems,
she can actually turn good and stuff.
yeah, yeah, and the reason, I mean, there's a couple reasons I like Nebula, but the biggest reason is because just I love a
Yeah,
classic story of redemption. And I think that's something you see. And Black Widow has this too, but I'll talk about Nebula is just the story of redemption and how people change and it's like no one's ever really lost. And we see Nebula go from this character who
yeah,
like is literally trying to kill her sister, kind of crazy. And she's just hateful and she's just mean and rude and bossy and but then she goes to someone who first step she
yeah,
forgives her sister and that's really cool to see. And she's actually
mm,
kind of trying to help people, and it's just I don't know why I was so drawn to this character, but I just
mm,
really liked it. And then even in Infinity War and Endgame, you see Nebula playing what's it
oh
called?
yeah, and
Paper football
yeah,
kick with Tony
I would like to
Stark, and just things like that. And like how he was like, "You won," and she was like, she's kind of like taken aback because you realize she's
yeah,
never won anything before. And I think one reason like why we all can like sympathize with Nebula and feel bad for her is because just what drew me to her was her story. Was how Thanos would make her and Gamora fight. And every time one of them would lose, he would replace something with metal and machine. And
uh,
that's why Nebula
mhm,
was basically a cyborg and all machines because she lost. And you just really feel bad for her. And I kind of wish she was
yeah,
the one to kill Thanos because I feel like she out of everyone had the most
mhm,
reason to hate him. And so like that's why you felt bad because even though like she hated him, she still wanted to please him and it
yeah,
was just like, honey, no. And
hmm,
you felt
oh
so
yeah,
bad for her. And yeah, and another reason I like this character, and this is just more personal reasons, um, but like having, back-to-back surgeries pretty much and being in weird casts and being hooked up to machines and being, having all these different electric stimulus and just not really feeling completely whole. I really
mhm,
resonated with Nebula because, she was someone
yeah,
who arm was over here and out there and knees, legs being replaced. And I guess that's one reason why I resonated with her is because she was kind of
yeah,
constantly being put back together. And that was just kind of cool to see. And, as for someone who spent like 2 years of her life injured, it was just nice to see that on screen. And watching Endgame, I remember being so excited to see her, and I was so happy to see her kind of becoming a good person. And I think that's why I like Nebula is because just the story of redemption, and you see someone going from being bad to good. I think that's a story you see in everyday
and
life,
like
and
also
that's why I like it.
like one of the big things like how she changed, how she was like someone who just wanted to kill things just cuz. in Endgame, she was even mad at her. She was even mad at her own
Mhm.
self of how she used to be, and she killed her past self because she didn't want
Yeah.
her to influence Gamora or anyone else to turn bad. She literally killed her.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That was a cool
Yeah,
movement
it was like a big
or
part, and like
moment,
I
not
remember
movement.
watching like Back to the Future stuff. So I was like, "Wait, isn't she gonna be gone?" And then I remember like the new logistic they brought up in Endgame, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it won't actually." And I was like scared for a second because she was actually
Yeah,
turning good, but then she died. But then I realized she was there to stay.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to see what they do with her. And I don't know, it was kind of funny seeing her and Gamora act like sisters when in Endgame when Gamora, the new Gamora or old Gamora, I guess,
Yeah,
meets Quill and he's like, Gamora, and Nebula's like, or
it
Gamora
was
asks
either
Nebula
him or
like,
a tree.
really, this is the one? And she's like, yeah, him or a tree, and that was so funny, and it was just like things like
Mm-hmm.
that make me so
Yeah,
excited for Volume 3 of Guardians of the Galaxy,
because
and
like
yeah,
honestly, Guardians
that'll
of the
be cool.
Galaxy 1 was like the first MCU movie that was just straight comedy. Like yeah, the whole way.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't like it at first. I thought I was like, what
Yeah,
is
it's like you
this?
have to be
But now
familiar
it's
with
one
the
of my
characters
favorite.
first, and then when you watch it, then it gets better.
Yeah. And I hope, do you know if Thor is
I
gonna be in
think he
Guardians of the Galaxy
will.
3?
Well, because Thor, Love and Thunder, that's coming out before. So I guess we'll have to see how that turns out.
Okay.
But I, Galaxy, yeah, I think the
We'll
Guardians
see
of the
some
Galaxy will be
interaction
in
though.
Thor: Love and Thunder. Well, Thor, but yeah.
Dang.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm getting hyped up. All right, all right. So this
Yeah.
conclude. Oh, do you
So,
have anything else to say?
oh, um, no. Overall, keep
Mhm.
the strong women coming who use their brain and their muscles.
Mhm.
It's always fun to see.
All right,
And
so
yeah.
this finishes off our podcast. Please check out our own website, marvelunwrappedpodcast.godaddysites.com, or our Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube accounts, all at Marvel Unwrapped. Thank you for listening. This has been our Marvel Unwrapped podcast, Marvel Unwrapped.